Welcome to Beginner's Guide. In today's tutorial, we are going to learn how to create this login form using HTML and CSS. This login form has got the hover effects. Every time when I hover on these input fields, if you can notice one thing, the size of the input field is been increased. Again, the color of these input fields are also changing from red color to green color. Again, when I hover on this submit button, the size of the submit button is reduced. Again, there is a background color for this submit button. So this is what we are going to design in today's tutorial. So before we get started, don't forget to subscribe the channel and like my videos. Now let's get started. I'm going to open my text editor, Visual Studio Code. So there is a folder in my desktop name called login. Within that folder, I have got one image, the image that I am going to use them as a background. Again, there is a index.html and the style.css file. Both of them, they are empty. Now let me create the basic structure of HTML document. Here we go. So here in this title, I'm going to say login form. So what is next? I want to link this style.css into my HTML document. In order to do that, I'm going to use this link.css. Now my style.css file is being included into my HTML document. Now what is next? Let me go to my original design so that I will know what to do. So this is my original design. So this is a form. It has got the heading as a login form together with the two input fields. One is for the username, another one is for the password, and there is a button name called submit. So in order to create this thing into my HTML, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create the form tag. Within the form tag, I'm going to have two input fields. The first input field is for the username. The second input field is for the password field. So here, if you can notice one thing, there is something in the background written username and the password. So in order to bring that one, I'm going to use the property name called placeholder. So here, first one, I'm going to say username. Again, here placeholder, I'm going to say password. So what is the use of this placeholder? It is going to give you the message what you need to do with that input box. The second field is the password field. What does it mean? Every time when you type your password, it should not be showing what you're typing, isn't it? So in order to do that, instead of using the input type as a text, I'm going to use input type as a password. So what is the use of input type as a password? Every time when you type the password, it won't be showing. It's going to be showing as a dot or a star. So what is next? I need to have the button. The type of the button that I'm going to use them is submit button. Then the label that I want them to be displayed with a button is, let's say, submit. Now I'm going to save and open with my browser. Here we go. There is a two input fields together with the placeholder username and password and the button. Here what is missing? This heading is missing, isn't it so? So in order to create that heading, here I'm going to create the h1 tag. I'm going to call them as a login form. Now let me refresh my browser. Here we go. There is a login form together with the two input field and the button. So what is next? I need to style my HTML document. In order to style my HTML document, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create the class name for this form tag. Maybe class name, let me say container. Okay, now I'm going to my style.css. I'm going to use the universal selector name called star. So what does it mean? Whatever the thing that you put within this universal selector name called star, it is going to be applied for the entire HTML document. So what I'm going to apply now, I want to remove the initial margin. So I'm going to set margin is equal to 0. Again, I want to remove the default padding, so I'm going to set padding is equal to 0. I'm going to apply the background image for my HTML document. I'm going to use the property name called background image together with URL. Here I'm going to pass the name of the image. So what is the name of the image? beach.jpg. I'm going to set the background position is equal to center. I'm going to say background attachment to fix. Let me save and refresh my browser here. Now as you can see them here, the background image has been applied to my web page. So what is next? I need to style this part, and then this part is supposed to be displayed in the center of the page. So in order to bring these details to the center of the web page, what you need to do, I'm going to select this class name called container. I'm going to use dot together with the name of the class. So I'm going to set the position. The position is supposed to be absolute, and then from the top is going to be 50%. From the left is going to be 50% again. I want to transform this information using translate. From the x-axis is going to be minus 50%. From the y-axis is going to be minus 50%. So what is the use of these 4 lines? It's actually will bring the contents towards the center of the web page. Let me save and refresh so that you will understand what it does. When I refresh this one, as you can see them here, everything has come towards the center of my web page. So what is next? Let me set the width. I want to set the width, maybe let's say 300 pixel, and then I want to set the background to transparent. I want to set the background color. The background color that I want to use them here is RGB. So this is the background color that I want to use. Then I want to set the padding. The padding is going to be 25 pixel from the top and bottom, and left and right I want them to be maybe 10 pixel. Let me set the font family here. I want them to be sans serif. Then I want to set the border radius. Let me say 30 pixel. Let me save and refresh my browser so that you will see the difference. Okay, almost like we are using almost like the same color here, but still we need to style this part, right? Then again, if you can notice one thing, there is a shadow here, isn't it? So there is a shadow here. To bring that shadow, what you need to do, I'm going to use the property name called box shadow. I'm going to set minus 3 pixel, minus 3 pixel, 7 pixel. That means I want them to be white in color. So what is first? This -3 is going to be applied in the left side of the box. This is going to be applied to the top of the box. This one is for the blur, then the color of that one. So I'm going to set the right side one, let's say 3 pixel, again 3 pixel, then 5 pixel. Let me say this one is also going to be white. So when you put the negative value, is going to be applied for the left side and the top. When you put the positive, this is going to be the right side and the bottom side. This is a blur value, so the value is going to be white. So let me save and refresh so that you will see the box with a shadow there. There is a shadow here towards this box, isn't it? So but here if you can notice that shadow is coming inside of the box. Here if you can notice the shadow is going out of the box. To bring them inside, what you need to do, you need to include the property name called insert in front of both of these values. Let me save and refresh my browser. Here you can see the shadow has come inside the box, just like the way that you can see them here. Now what is next? I need to design this part inside the box. So I need to design these 2 input boxes together with a button. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab this class name called container. Let me put them here. Then I want to style those input boxes, isn't it so? So input, here I'm going to use the maybe type. I want to design both text box as well as the password, because here there is a two input field. One is the text, another one is the password field. So what I'm going to do, this one is to design the text field. I'm going to just copy and paste them here. Instead of text here, I'm going to say password. So what does it mean? I'm going to design both the text field and the password field. So what is the design? I'm going to maybe set the background color. Maybe background, I want them to be none initially. Then I'm going to use the property name called display as a block. So what is going to be happen? You will see them here. I remove the background color as well as I want them to be displayed in a block. So let me refresh. Now each of these things are displaying in a separate line just because of this line display block. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to set the margin from top and bottom. I want them to be maybe 40 pixels, and left and right I want them to be auto. Then what I'm going to do, maybe let me set the padding. The padding is going to be 12 pixels top and bottom, maybe 10 pixels left and right. Let me save and refresh my browser. Just because I have set the margin and the padding, no wonder that these two fields are aligned nicely, but not these two fields, because we have not yet styled, because we have selected input type as a text and input type as a password. We have not yet done anything with this heading and the submit button. So what is next? Let me do some more. So I'm going to say maybe I want to set the width of that input box. Let me set them to 200 pixels. Maybe I want to set the outline is equal to initially none. I don't want any outline. Maybe I want the color of the text to be white in color. Maybe the font family that I'm going to use sans serif. The border radius, because in the original design, if you can notice one thing, these borders, they are in a curved type, isn't it? So in order to bring that one, I'm going to use the border radius property. Maybe I'm going to set the border radius to 22 pixels. Let's see how. Maybe the border color, initially they were red, isn't it? So the border color is going to be red. Maybe I want to set the property as transition. I want them to be set as 2 seconds so that there will be a smooth transition. So let me go and refresh my browser. As you can see them here, the borders are in a curved type, but the border color property is not been applied, isn't it? So the border color is supposed to be red in color. So what is wrong here? Border color, I set them to color instead of name of the color. So let me set red. Let me save and refresh. Now the border color is red. Now what is next? Every time when I hover on these two buttons, the size of the input box is increased. Again, the color of these input boxes is also be changing, isn't it? So in order to do that, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy, paste them here. When I hover on the text box, I'm going to use the property name as hover. Again, when I hover on this password field, I'm going to use them as a hover. I want to increase the width. Initially it was 200 pixels, right? So let me copy and paste them here. Maybe instead of 200, let me say 250 pixels. Then the color, so maybe the border color, I want them to be green. So let me save. Let me go and refresh. When I hover, yes, the size of this input box is been increased. Even the color is also be changing. So what is next? Maybe let me start styling this heading so that it can look nice. So in order to style this one, again, what is missing here? Yeah, this username and this password in the center of these text boxes, isn't it? So but here they are not centered. So in order to do that, what I'm going to do, maybe here we can say text align to center. Let me go and refresh. Now you can see them, the text is in the center of this input box. What is missing again? Every time when I hover on this text box, there is something, there is a tooltip to say please fill out this field. But when I come here, there is nothing like that, isn't it? So in order to bring that one, what you can do, you can go to your HTML document. Here after the placeholder, you can use the property name as required. So what it does, in case if you don't enter that field, it is going to give you that alert message to say that fields are must, you must enter the details. Let me go and refresh. Let me come here. You can see them here. That tooltip is saying please fill out this field. Now what is next? Let me style this heading. To style that heading, what I'm going to do, I'm going to say this container, I'm going to target the H1, which is heading. So maybe I'm going to say, maybe the color of the text, I want them to be white in color. Then maybe background, because as you can see them here, there is a background color, so I want to set that background to none. When I refresh, I'm sure that you will see the difference. I set the font color is equal to white and I remove this background. So when I refresh, here we go, the font color is white, then the background has gone. Then I want this login form to be displaying in the center of this box, isn't it? So in order to do that, maybe text align, I want them to be center. Maybe let me increase the font size. Maybe I'm going to use the property name called font weight. Let me set them to 450. Let me save and refresh my browser. So we managed to bring the heading towards the center of this form. Then what is next? We need to style this submit button. In order to style that submit button, what I'm going to do, I'm going to just copy this part. Let me paste them here. Actually, this one is not an input because we are trying to style the button, isn't it? So here these two fields are input. No wonder we used input, but this field is a button. Let me copy. Button type is submit. So what I'm going to do, instead of input, we are trying to style the button. So what is the type of the button? Is going to be submit. So this is what I'm going to style them now. What I'm going to do, let me just copy and paste the whole thing because they are just the same, isn't it? So let me copy and paste them here. Let me save. Let me go and refresh. Here we go. Okay, now it's much better. Everything is just the same. Now what is next? Every time when I hover on this submit button, the width has to be reduced, as well as I need to bring the background color as this green. So what I'm going to do is simple again. I'm going to just grab this one, the whole thing. I'm going to use the property name as hover. When I hover, what is supposed to happen? Initially, okay, let me set that background color. That background color has to be green. Then what is next? I want the size to be reduced. So initially the width of that particular button is 200 pixels. So let me copy and paste them. Now let me reduce them to maybe 150 pixels. Let me save and refresh my browser. Here we go. When I hover on this input box, the size is increased. Again, the color is also be changing. Same applies to this button. And then when I hover on this submit button, the size is reduced, as well as there is a background color here. So this is what we have targeted to do, and we have managed to complete this design successfully. So this is a tutorial, guys. I hope you understood. For more tutorials, don't forget to subscribe the Beginner's Guide.